The race of the century is going down. Kipchoge versus Bekele. Let's talk about it. How's it going, runners? My name is Justin Thompson. I'm your average running PT, and I help the average runner achieve their own personal elite status. If that's something you guys are into, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell so that you guys know when the next video comes out. So before we talk about Kipchoge and Bekele, I want to take a second to just update you guys on my training. And this week, things just kind of started to click. And I really was feeling quite good, and I made a video about that as well. So just felt like a really good week. Now it's Saturday, and I'm going into a rest day on Sunday, so I'm going in feeling good. Hopefully come out on Monday for another speed work day, feeling really fresh. So really excited about that. Now let's talk about Kipchoge and Bekele. And first of all, this is completely deviating from what I normally talk about on this channel, but I also want to make sure that you guys know kind of what drives me as well whenever I think about, running and all of that. So yes, these guys are the elite of the elite, and I gain a lot of inspiration from that, even though I know I'm never going to be anywhere close to that. If you're a big running fan, you know that this is a race that people have been waiting for nearly a year. And I just love this stuff so much, I can end up kind of nerding out and geeking out on this stuff all day long. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to nerd out, geek out, and let you guys hear what I think about this race. So as many of you know, many of the big marathons around the world are being canceled. However, the London Marathon, while they have canceled their open field, the elite field is still going to run a marathon. Now this is something that was scheduled for April of this year, but of course due to the global pandemic, everything got pushed back and rescheduled. And we've all been kind of waiting in limbo to see whether they were going to just cancel everything or if they were going to somehow figure out a way to make this race happen. Now obviously the headline of this entire race has always been Kipchoge versus Bekele. Now if you have no idea who these guys are, let me just give you a quick little background about each one of them. So Eliud Kipchoge is the guy that's really taken the entire running world by storm, and if you haven't heard of him by now, it's time that you hear about him. He's considered the greatest marathoner of all time, and his results completely back that up. He holds the marathon world record in 2 hours, 1 minute, and 39 seconds. That's crazy. And he ran that at the Berlin Marathon in 2018. Not only that, this guy has won 8 out of his 9 marathons that he's ever entered in. And the one that he didn't win, he got second. Now he's undefeated in the marathon since 2014. This is the kind of thing nobody's ever heard of. The fact that somebody could be so well prepared for every single race that he runs in, that he gets first in nearly every one and second in the one that he didn't win, that's incredible. How do you stay healthy for so long? How do you not have a bad day? It's almost unfathomable to think about. Of course, he's also won an Olympic gold medal in the marathon, and he's the only human to ever cover 26.2 miles, the marathon distance, in under 2 hours. He did that for the Ineos 159 challenge. He also attempted it in 2017 for the Nike Breaking 2 project. Came very close, only within 25 seconds. We weren't sure if we would ever see him do it again, but he did end up doing it for the Ineos 159 challenge in October of 2019. Obviously, there were some things that made this not a world record attempt because of pacing strategies and fueling strategies that are not within the rules of world record attempts. But still, the man covered 26.2 miles in under 2 hours, and he almost looked like he was walking the whole time. He looked so relaxed and like he could have run another 5 miles at the same pace. He's just seemed untouchable for the last 6 or 7 years. And so why in the world is this race against Kipchoge coming from this other guy, Bekele? Why is this so anticipated? Well, while Kipchoge may be considered the best marathoner of all time, Kenenisa Bekele is widely regarded as one of the best distance runners of all time. Potentially the best distance runner of all time. So let me give you a little background on Bekele so that you guys understand why this is such an anticipated race. So Kenenisa Bekele has held the 5,000 meter and 10,000 meter world records on the track for a bunch of years, well over 10 years. He is also really well known for his performances in cross country. He's the only guy to ever win the short course and long course cross country championship, world cross country championships in the same year. The only guy to ever do it. And he did it 5 times in a row. He won the Berlin Marathon in, I believe it was 2016. And he also won the Berlin Marathon in 2019. So here's what's crazy about his victory at the Berlin Marathon in 2019. That race was in September of 2019, and Kipchoge's Ineos 159 Challenge was in October of 2019. The fact that these two were so close together is what really got the ball rolling about, hey, these guys could race each other and really have one of the most amazing races of all time. So what makes people think that? Well, when Bekele won the 2019 Berlin Marathon, he did it in a time of 2 hours, 1 minute, and 41 seconds. Now, if you remember, the world record set by Kipchoge in the previous year at the exact same race was 2 hours, 1 minute, and 39 seconds. That means Kenenisa Bekele was only 2 seconds away from beating Eliud Kipchoge's world record. Now, of course, Kipchoge came back 2 weeks later and ended up going under 2 hours for the marathon distance at the Ineos 159 Challenge. So these two guys are just battling out for potentially bragging rights as the best runner, distance runner of all time. So when it was announced that these two guys were going to be running in the same race in the London Marathon in April of 2019, the entire running world was sitting in anticipation. But then coronavirus. And here we are now, still in the middle of this global pandemic, and we've been wondering if the fact that they pushed the London Marathon back to October, we were all wondering whether that race was ever actually going to get run. I think if it didn't get run, it would be the greatest race to never happen. But it was just announced just a couple of days ago that this race is going to happen. Now, it's going to look very different from the normal London Marathon. The open field is non-existent. They are not having the normal London Marathon, but they are having the elite field run. And basically what they're going to do, though, they're not going to go through all of London. They're not going to shut down the entire city for just the elite field running through the streets. So what they're going to do instead is they're going to run loops in St. James Park, which is normally where they end the race, right there in front of Buckingham Palace in London. Now that may seem weird or boring or whatever for them to just run in circles, especially when they have to do 19 laps. 19 laps! That's a lot of laps to run and see the same scenery over and over and over again for just a little over 2 hours. But here's where that could be a benefit. If you're running the same laps over and over and over again, you have a really good opportunity to dial in a pace, especially on a flat course, which London's course is going to be very flat. So you could really dial in that pace and start clicking off these miles. And what we could see is potentially another world record fall. And now when you've got the two fastest marathoners of all time racing against each other, let's just say I'm excited. So if you know nothing about marathon running, if you know nothing about the elite fields or any of the professional runners that are going to be entering into this race, at least be on the lookout for potentially history being made. So I'm super, super excited, if you can't tell, about Kipchoge and Bekele, and really looking forward to this race going down on October 4th of 2020. So that's me kind of nerding out on you guys. I apologize if you have no desire to know any of this stuff, and if you don't, you probably didn't make it to the end of this video. But if you did, head on out there, seek your elite, God bless, and I'll see you next time.